Welcome to the All Things Performance Podcast, where our goal is to stay hungry, to get better, and to move the meter. My name is Josiah Igano, and whether you're looking to improve physically, to get fed spiritually, or to challenge yourself mentally, we're digging deep to find those gems, and we're going to find them. Let's go. I am joined here today with my good friend, mentor, brother in the Lord, Uzor Onwordi. Uzor, how you doing, man?
Man, it's a great day to be alive, Josiah. It's good to see you, brother.
You too, man. You too. You know, it's funny because this is, truth be told, this is my first interview podcast for All Things Performance, and it's funny how life goes. You are one of the first professionals that I met on my journey as a collegiate athlete trying to go to the next level. You're the first one, and that made a huge difference physically and mentally, you know. And I just want to go back to that moment, man. I want to go back to those years. So I just had finished playing college football, and I needed to train like everybody in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like every college kid in the world, like, I'm trying to go to the league. You know what I'm saying? And you know, everybody wants to train and get better, bigger, faster, stronger. And, you know, I ran into Uzor Onwordi through a mutual friend, Steve Valori, man. Talk about what you were doing at that time, because that was a very active and busy time for you.
Well, you know, it's always a pleasure to kind of like follow your dream and your desire. And, you know, everybody, you know, they have their own goal in mind, but God actually, you know, has got the blueprint. So my desire, you know, was to encourage, motivate, and God put me in the bodybuilding arena that really turned into where my heart was in the sports performance arena. So me having a chance to work with a lot of athletes at that time, the gift that God had given me was the gift of encouragement. So in my heart, God kind of maneuvered the blueprint and brought me around some incredible people, and you were one of them. And I say incredible people in the sense that one thing that God was sharing with me as I was growing up in those times was that there's a champion in everybody, but you have to call a champion out because most people can't see the champ in them. So I always had an opportunity to get that emotional connection with that word that there's a champ in everybody. And I called everybody a champ. And it wasn't necessarily me calling them a champ. I was calling them what God already knew they were, but it had to be called out of the people, or it had to be called out of the person. So in you was a champ. And when I saw you, I saw the champ in you. I couldn't see the Josiah, the football player, as much as I saw the champ within Josiah's passion for touching and outreaching, and just the passion you had for people and the passion you have for outreaching. And you could just see the champ in you, but we were trying to mold his athletic person within that champ. But the champ in you was really what we kept calling out, which was every time I saw you, to me, you were a champ. So when I use that terminology, I started, as I've grown, broke down the word champ into my champ and the champ. Okay, my champ is someone that I've seen go through the molding of what God has put them through. Now you're my champ. Before, you were just the champ because I saw what God had in you. So, man, it's what I always look for in everybody I come in contact with is the champ within them.
I love it, man. I love it. And, you know, I appreciate the kind words. I mean, I had a first row seat in your business, in your life. I mean, I saw you train literally Olympic athletes. You were training World Series athletes. You were training NFL players at all levels. And there were so many people that, came through that building, Uzone, and through your different businesses that you've run through the years. And that's one thing that you were excellent at, in as far as, calling that out, calling greatness out. And so, I mean, that's awesome. I know you're a very modest man, so I want to brag about you a little bit, man. But I'm gonna trick you because you're gonna be doing the talking, not me. Hey, talk to us about not Janet Jackson, Madonna bodybuilding in the NFL. Talk to us about that.
You're taking it way back now. Well, all of us had that material life, and we had the material feelings. So I had a material time when I got a chance to work for a material girl, and and that's just what it is. You find yourself in interesting places, and that was one job I did do as a bodyguard. But when I was doing that job, I was bodybuilding also, and honestly, I just wanted to see the champion people more than scare them. So it was a conflict where you telling people to get away, and you're like, man, I see the champion, but you got to go. So, it was not so much a conflict, but it's just the passion I had, even though I was bodybuilding, looking scary. Most of that was, there was a time where that was just an opportunity that came by, and then then it turned into helping Janet do some stuff with her production of security, and it gave me an opportunity to also be in another part of seeing the different things in entertainment. So that was fun, man. And then my passion was always to see the champion people, and God has encouraged me to be the one to be speaking athletes alive about developing the champ within them. That's the greatest passion that I've seen so far. That's God has been moving in, that I've enjoyed every bit of.
That's awesome. Were there any correlations between, being a bodyguard? Because the thing about it, man, you look at people's life, right? And it's one of those things whereby, everything works together to the good of those, right? And God uses everything in our life, good, bad, indifferent. Were there any I guess similarities or correlations from you as a bodyguard? You know what I'm saying? You around these entities, these people who are bigger than life, and you calling out greatness, being able to see greatness, because it takes great people to see greatness in other great people, I believe sometimes. Was there any correlation between the two?
Well, one of the big key of that job was you were always quick to analyze people, identify, analyze, determine, and you had to make those decisions very quickly. As you make those decisions, it became part of your DNA in a sense, because that was the kind of thing you were always had to determine in a quick factors. So when you transform that into going over and taking people to see the greatness in them, you have to analyze things quickly also. You have to determine what the factors are. And that's kind of why I enjoy training athletes in a sense, because you're not watching to watch them breathe or see how tired they are. You analyzing so much more where they mentally are, where they physically are, when the emotions turn, when the emotions high, why do that changes? So you're analyzing so much data on this individual just by looking at them, and it becomes customary when you notice that you're in that environment all the time and you get to see it, so you know what you're looking for. So a lot of that kind of correlates because of those two, but that's really what I could say that correlates the most.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think one thing I know about you, you have very good discernment. I think of all the people that I know, I think you rank tops, in terms of discernment and being able to pick people out. And so it all makes sense. Let's talk about, you've trained some big names, and we're not going to sit here and name drop, but you've trained some very prominent names in the world of sport. And I would like to know, what is the most intriguing thing that you have learned, right, at the melting point of an athlete? So I'll give you an example. You got this big, bad professional ball player that comes into your domain, and you're training him. He thinks he's up here, but in essence, he's not. What is the big thing that you've learned through your years in training athletes? And what have you learned when they have come to their breaking point? What insight can you give us as far as what you see, what is important, what's not important, and what really matters?
I always stick to the same thing because it's always easy for me. I don't try to recreate anything too much. It is a matter of looking for the champ in that person still. It's not that person don't know that they're a champ, but it's trying to get them to see how they can take the ability of being a champ and convert that to the next person. So if you see the greatness in you, how can we convert your greatness to the next person? It might not be as great as you, but you got to help me convert that, because for me to be able to have you take that greatness and convert that would make you greater. It's the ability of every time I watch that shot that Michael Jordan passed down and gave to Steve Kerr. That was a sacrifice on his part. He had to convert that. He had to convert that over and let Steve Kerr get some of that love and that credit. But at the end of the day, nobody was fooled on who the man was, but the conversion made it to where Steve Kerr became some kind of true relationship of how the championship went through, that you had to convert it over. So I think when you see someone that is in the greatest place, it's not a matter of bringing them down. It's a matter of letting them, how do we convert that over, what you have in relationship with that greatness, because that brings everybody to a higher level than what they already are. And I think that's the hardest part, is letting that champ say, hey, you are the super champ. How do we convert some of that over? Because if we don't convert it over, then there's no reason for you to be this great.
So what I hear from you is you are trying to spread, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you train athletes in a group setting, I have very rarely seen you train athletes one-on-one. I've almost exclusively seen you train them in a group setting, and it is something to behold, man. It's high energy. You're pushing people, people are pushing people. So if I'm hearing you correctly, that previous question that I just asked you, you're saying that in your eyes, in your estimation, the most important thing is to take that greatness and spread that greatness. That's the most important thing that you're trying to do. Like, that's the most important thing for you. Is that right?
That's what you got right now. You're spreading it. That greatness, you already doing what you just said. Because it wasn't, you were not the same guy I met that we originally started talking about. You converted that greatness.
Why is that important? Why is that important to you?
Because it's not a value that's maximized if it's not moved. That value just stays there. It doesn't feed where your hands can reach. What you're doing today is feeding where my hands can reach. But it has to impact, the next person has to impact, but you don't tell people that it is what it is. You just let them know that they're the champ. Now you're my champ, because I see God moving to take you to that place. You're not just a champ, you my champ, because I've seen God move.
That's deep, man. That's deep. I might have to rewind the tape on that and listen to that one again. You know what I'm saying? hey, fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. Given the world events, given your place as a father, as a husband, as a leader, fill in the blank. put you on the spot. You have no idea that I'm asking you this question. It would be a shame if what? Fill in the blank.
It would be a shame if we let people steal our joy.
Wow. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, everybody don't come up. You don't come up with just waking up in the morning and jumping, but everybody come up with waking up in the morning and have hope. Everybody get up, waking up in the morning to have see something in positive to their day, not just to their life, but just to their day. And in that mindset, there's so many obstacles that starts up before you even start your car.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there is areas of so many different areas that are always trying to rob us of this joy that is a factor of our human existence, because that's why the sun comes out, that's why our blood are pumping oxygen. That's just so you have life, that you be able to live life abundantly. How you gonna live life abundantly if you're in a place where your mindset is free to expand, and that joy is what allows your mindset. I mean, don't get me wrong. In sorrow, there's also a place of peace or a place of rest. But we all want to be in a place of joy because that's a place of strength. When someone robs you of your joy, they just robbed you of your strength, mentally, physically. When your son or your daughter have this joy in their eyes and in their mannerism, it makes you happy. You don't even know why it makes you happy, because you're like, they happy, I'm good, I'm happy. so when you see them and they're looking like something's wrong, it automatically puts you in a what's going on state, your whole mentality, your whole mindset. So there's a joy within us. There's a word that says never let, it says the joy of the Lord is your strength. I always remember that one, because I always determine, what does that mean? What joy? How can this joy be my strength? So what it is a remembrance that we should not let anyone steal our joy, because that's your strength.
I like it, man. I like that. Joy equals strength. I like that. I'm going to remember that one. So my final question to you before we close and you give us some parting words, my final question to you off of that is, don't let anybody steal your joy, but how do you do that? What should I do to not allow that to happen? How do I do it?
So this is a great question you asked. I have loved music for so many years, and I have listened to so many styles of music, and music is kind of my life, kind of it, because when you work out, you want energy, you want the right music. And then my wife said, "Oh, I decided to get you XFM radio." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I didn't know it was because there was a special for $5 for 3 months. I was like, "Okay, I'll take it." So all of a sudden, I'm listening to the thing, and I'm listening to all kind of music. And then all of a sudden, man, I ran into Joel Olsen's station. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be religious or nothing, but I started listening to like positive words. And then all of a sudden, it made me want to start listening to podcasts. All of a sudden, I realized that all those music was great, but every time I listened to things that edified me, every time that I listened to things that encouraged me, every time I listened to things that it gave me this fuel, it gave me this sense to know that there's a reason for that joy. It gave me the sense to know that, man, I gotta go beyond my thoughts and think beyond where I'm at. So it expanded my mind because I'm feeding things in my life. And then that started taking me to a situation where I had to separate myself from certain people, because they just didn't bring that energy that fits in. So when I say never let them steal your joy, there's a few things that you have to decide. How much of this do I want to listen to, and how much of this do I want to have encourage me? And if this person is not impacting me with positive and with that energy of joy, it might be time to just say, leave this guy alone till he's ready. You know, it might be time to say, leave this guy alone completely. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference of levels in everybody's life, but you have to determine what's positive that you're feeding in to determine how the people that are going to rob you are not going to be positive. They're just going to rob you of that joy. It's not going to be positive. But then you got to go feed yourself with people that are positive, or feed yourself with things that are positive. It's harder to do than you think, because as soon as you wake up, they're trying to steal your joy.
No, that's powerful. So, I mean, that's some very rich insight there. And I think if I'm hearing you correctly, you know, the answer, if we can sum up in a few words, is that, you know, in terms of not stealing my joy, the music that I listen to, the words that I listen to, the energy, the people, the inputs, that's what I kept on hearing. The inputs are just as important, if not more important than the actual output. And then if I need to, I'm going to separate people. I'm going to separate things, but the inputs, that's what I kept on hearing. The inputs are the most important thing in terms of keeping that joy.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, man. So as we close, Uzor, the mic is yours. The floor is yours. Are there any thoughts? And thank you again, man, for doing this. This has been fun for me, and we could have done this for hours.
True.
And I wanted you to share with the people listening, you know, any thoughts that you have not been able to shake, that just keep coming back to you. Anything that you want to share with the people, whatever's on your heart, or whatever, you know, encouragement that you have for everybody today, man. Just would love for you to have the floor.
Well, man, I may shock your audience, and I don't mean to, but it is what it is. This right here is good. Everywhere you go in the world, that means all is good. This right here means not good. Everywhere you go in the world, not good. But we can also do this as God is the top. It's good. Then we can also do this right here. This right here, anywhere you go in the world, is protection. I protect me. I protect my family. I got to protect. So I got God. The next thing is I got to protect. So I got to protect in every kind of way. But I hate to show you this, Josiah, because this is important. This right here is you, me, all the people that are creating to be alone. You can't be alone. You have to be involved. So this, when you by yourself, you look like this. And that is just the way it is. Now this right here, Josiah, in this hand has got a ring, that fourth finger. And this fourth finger is work. You know you got to work on that marriage. You know you got to work every time you get up. You got to get ready. You got to make a plan. You got to work. This is work. And this one, the reason it keeps following this fourth one is because this one is community. Communities work too. That's why this is always following it, community. So if you want to remember what I say, God, good, protect. We got to protect. That's just the way it is. Protect your family, protect yourself. You got to protect. And this right here, if you're alone and you ain't trying to do, you know what? You look just like this. Then this one right here is work. Those people that are not married, they still got to work. This one is always following work because that's community. So that's all I got, Josiah. If you want to stay whole, put all those together. And that's where it's at.
I love it, man. I love it, Uzor. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Is there anywhere we can find you online or otherwise?
Hey, man. Uzor on Facebook. Look me up. Uzor. Uzor@cox.net. Hook me up on the email. And I'm over there on LinkedIn. Uzor, Uzor. God bless everybody. Stay safe. Corona is out there. And if you're not staying safe, please Don't stay close to anybody. God bless you.